Something's off. Where am I? The man appeared to be riding on his steed, moving alongside other troops, marching towards a massive fortified city. Then he saw something so horrible no other humans should witness. Is this hell? The man was looking at a battlefield. It appears that they were at war with another country. But the man could not identify which country was he fighting against, nor did he even know who was he fighting for. Meanwhile, soldiers were fighting, killing all for the sake of their country, to survive. Push forward, don't falter, men, one allied commander yelled. As troops were charging in, another allied commander unleashed powerful fire magic against the enemy troops. Fire Lama, Naga Star. The man unleashed what appeared to be meteors engulfed in flames from the sky to wipe out the enemy in one fell swoop. The enemy was annihilated, but then reinforcements marched from inside the fortified city, and within minutes, their army was restored, as if the allied forces made no real damage to their force at all. In a few hours, the enemy managed to push the army back. However, something seemed off about them. Damn it all, the siege is much harder than we expected, said a soldier as he was staring at the enemy forces, advancing towards them. Meanwhile, somewhere away from the front lines, a soldier was getting chased by an imperial knight. But something was off. Breathed like a wild animal, like as if it's going after its prey, filled with bloodlust. The man then saw an opening and then lunged towards the knight, finally laying down a hit on his shoulder. The man was able to kill his pursuer. The man wiped off his sweat and then walked away to search for his allies who were at the front lines. But suddenly, the man detected movement behind him. The corpse started to move again. And then, as it lunged at the man with its axe, it let out a blood-curdling cry. The soldier was terrified and couldn't move. He then closed his eyes. A young man woke up from his sleep. He looked at his surroundings. It appears that he was dreaming. What the hell was that just now? Then he heard loud footsteps approaching his room. The bedroom door then knocked open. "Milord, is everything all right?" said a man in his uniform. The knight was sweating and had a very nervous expression, looking around for what was going on in the room. "Reinhardt, I'm fine. Nothing serious happened. It's just that I had one of those nightmares again." Reinhardt then looked at him closer. "Now that I think about it, you look very pale. Are you perhaps having the same type of nightmares from the last few days?" The man smiled and replied, "Observant as ever, Reinhardt. But I think it's best you don't ask about this dream. it it really was something." The man then sighed and then stretched out of bed. "Besides, they're just nightmares. It's not like it's one of those dreams where the cliche is, oh, this is going to happen in the future, and you gotta prevent it." Reinhardt laughed nervously and smiled. "Please try not to break the fourth wall, milord. In any case, it's almost time for breakfast. Please get dressed up and come downstairs." "Oh, Give me the usual, please. The hash browns you make are really good. Very good, Miller. Don't forget about our meeting after breakfast today. We have important things to talk about today. I'll be getting the papers right now. See you in a moment. He then left the room. The man yawned and then thought to himself, I've been having so much of those creepy dreams lately. So much so that now I question if these dreams are really trying to tell me something. In the end, I hope I'm correct that these are just silly dreams. But the man then jumps out of bed and starts running to his closet, quickly looks for his regular getup. What's scarier right now is if I don't hurry, I'll have to listen to an extra hour of Reinhardt's damned lectures. He hurried quickly to get dressed. After a minute, he headed downstairs. Prince Aeneas Ludor Arcadia, age 18. This odd man is a heir to the throne, fated to one day lead the kingdom of Calydon, his homeland. However, while he is a prince, his demeanor is not very royal-like at all. Reinhardt Hans Adelhard, age 25. This man is a royal guard of the Arcadia clan, the royal family of the country. He is also one of Aeneas' childhood friends and has been together since Aeneas was a child. He also serves as a trusted advisor to him due to his swift decision making and excellent observation skills. Currently, Aeneas' father is recovering from an illness and cannot lead the country for more than a month. This threw the government into trouble. Since the head of state and government was absent, no one at the cabinet was able to give the usual orders. However, today's briefing on Asheria 1st, 2200 MC will be the start of Aeneas' leadership and the start of his legacy. After an hour of breakfast, Aeneas went to the meeting room where Reinhardt was waiting for him. He then walked in and sat down with a tired expression. Well then, shall we get started? Reinhardt prepared to gather his papers, ready to announce the plan for the day. Oh, no. Oh yeah, for sure. Totally excited about this stuff, man. Aeneas laughed it off nervously, while Reinhardt gave him a sigh. Well then, today's report. As you know, your father, King Anchises Friedrich Arcadia, is in bed, recovering from an illness he caught a few days ago. But last night, his illness developed further to the point where he cannot perform the usual tasks anymore. This means that no one is leading the country at the moment but the council, and just barely. But while the illness is treatable, he won't be able to lead our country for a month until he recovers. But Reinhardt smiles and then looked at Aeneas. That's where you come in. Aeneas was just gazing blankly at him until he realized what Reinhardt was trying to tell him. Wait, what? Me? He said in confusion. That's correct. For the rest of Asheria until early Nagi, starting today, you will be our de facto leader of our country until your father recovers. In other words, you will be Prince Regent all month. Reinhardt turns the page of his booklet, but then he looks directly at Aeneas. I will be reporting to the King Anchises every day about your decisions and actions. We all have very high expectations of you during this week. Should you perform well, we are even thinking about making you Prince Regent permanently until you succeed your father. Are you? Reinhardt is then interrupted by a loud snore, for Aeneas is snoozing. Hey, were you even listening to a word I said? Sorry, I am still a little tired. Aeneas then laughed it off. Reinhardt sighed and kept his cool, and looked at Aeneas with a serious expression. I would really appreciate it if you took this more seriously, my lord. He flipped to the pages of his booklet. In my reports, well, you should be aware of how much of a threat the Empire of Thabes poses. We all know. He then started reading one of his reports. According to here, there are traces of Fabian ships down southeast, leaving our seas. We have no idea what they could be plotting anymore, but right now one thing is certain. At this rate, they'll have influence all over the entire continent. Reinhardt then walked to the table and looked at Aeneas, dead in the eye. Right now in Utgard, since the last 100 years, literally 4 nations are now on good terms with the Empire thanks to their rhetoric. And now one of our country's business is working together with them. They're trying to sway them to gain their approval so that they can do business and start to turn them into puppets, just like everyone else. Listen, my lord, if we get too comfortable and show the world that we're getting too soft on the Empire, everyone will think it's okay, and they will follow us on our step. And we will lose all of our remaining influence in this continent, and then the Empire will finally take over. From there onward, I'm pretty sure we all know what can happen. Reinhardt gulped and looked at Aeneas with fear. They will try to destroy our cultures. They will eliminate everything that goes against them. They will have total control of everything. They will enslave people just as they did harshly with the dragons there. Once that happens, they'll conquer all of us. Our homes will be no more. Aeneas was in deep thought about everything Reinhardt just said to him. Thebes, influence, control, transformation, destruction of culture. And then he remembered something that he will never forget for the rest of his life. On that day, 10 years ago.